Our next speaker will be Liz Poliakova from the Communication and Culture program at York University. The title of her talk is Authorial Agency, Exploration of Women, Work in Digital Self-Publishing.
Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Okay, so today I will be talking about authorial agency, exploration of women's work in digital self-publishing. So what do I mean by authorial agency? I'm talking about the control that authors have in the production and distribution of their work. And oftentimes authors actually have very little control in the final product. So the press has the final say in the cover design and the edits, so things like that. And this, through my research, I specifically found out that this is especially impacting women. So I wanted to first situate the topic of female authorship a little bit in historical perspectives and how women have struggled throughout history in the publishing world. So there is definitely a lack of recognition and a lack of agency for women writers. So what do I mean by lack of recognition? Specifically, women authors have often in history adopted male names or remained anonymous when they're publishing their work. So one example is the Bronte sisters. So they have adopted male names, and some scholars posit that it was because they cover topics that are taboo for female authors to cover. So for instance, we have violence, domestic abuse, alcohol abuse in their work. And so they adopted male names in order to prevent some of the stigma that might come with a female attaching their name to those types of topics. And in recent history, we obviously have J.K. Rowling, who also decided for her gender to remain ambiguous in order to prevent some stigma that might come from the author being identified as a female. So this is problematic because not only does this create gaps when we try to reconstruct female authorship throughout history. So for instance, if we have anthologies or encyclopedia articles, often female authors are grouped into one chapter, or only the most prominent female authors are highlighted. And this is also the issue of agency. So for instance, this is Jane Austen, and she actually self-published a number of her works before she was traditionally published, and she published them under the pseudonym A Lady. So again, she remained anonymous. And one of her books, specifically Northanger Abbey, was picked up by a press, but it was actually put away on a shelf for over 2 years. It was not published. And Austen had absolutely no say in what happens to her work until she actually bought the rights back. And so this kind of brings me to my topic of self-publishing and women authors buying back the rights to their work or gaining the rights once the press's rights are expired. So I have self-publishing. So what is self-publishing? It's finding consumers directly. So this can be done through online platforms or in person, and taking on all the financial burdens of the project. So the author subsidizes all the elements of the production, distribution, consumption cycle. And this is different than vanity publishing. So often self-publishing comes with a stigma because it is linked to vanity publishing, where authors pay in order to get their work published by a vanity press. Because self-publishing, their main revenue comes from the book itself. So they have to provide a quality product in order to gain readers. However, vanity publishers, they're not interested in producing quality products because their main aim is to gain money from the authors themselves. So they can have editors in-house that are subpar. So vanity is different than self-publishing. And of course, this means that the self-publisher has a final say in all matters relating to the finished product. Okay. So for my project, I am looking at hybrid authors, self-published and traditionally published authors. So oftentimes authors either start with self-publishing and they get picked up by traditional publishers, or they're picked up by traditional publishers and then they end up gaining the rights back to their work once the press's rights expire. And specifically, the female authors who I have talked to, they have told me a number of benefits of digital self-publishing. So they control the price point, they control the design, and the cover design, and they control the genre, which means more agency for them. And this is specifically true for digital self-publishing, such as ebooks, because everything is easily done online. So all the changes are at the tip of their fingertips. So if something is, for instance, not selling, they can control the price point, they can gauge the market, they can put a book on sale, see if that works. They can put a whole series on sale, see if that works. So everything is done digitally and it's very convenient for them. And now I would like to talk a little bit about the cover design and the genre in a little bit more detail. So here I have, let me go back. Here we go. Okay, so these are some covers from Harlequin romances, or just from, I guess, stereotypical romances. And this can be off-putting for some readers. So specifically, if a woman writes romance, she can be categorized into these genres. So this could impact their sales, this could impact their readership. For instance, specifically in digital self-publishing, the covers often remain hidden on mobile devices and digital platforms. But if you have a print book with a traditional publisher like this, someone might not want to read it on the bus, for instance. So in public spaces, because of the stigma that might come from the cover. And what my self-publishers have told, which ones that I interviewed, is that right now the genre of romance is actually being rebranded into rom-coms. So contemporary romances can easily be changed into the subgenre of rom-coms by changing the cover. And this is extremely easily done online. So the book is literally judged by the cover. So these are not necessarily, these are not self-published books, but I just wanted to provide an example of what a rom-com cover means. So it's usually just cartoon figures, and the cover is just kind of very flirty. And I wanted to go back to the self-published authors. So this is the website specifically of self-published authors. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the values and the design of their websites. So here I have Eve Silver, who is a self-published author, and these are some of the covers for her books. And I wanted to point out at the subgenres that she specifically highlights on her website. They're very clear. So the subgenre of these books is historical, but not only that, she also has a subgenre, dark Gothic series. So what that means is that she's specifically catering to a niche audience. So she wants readers to know, not to have any surprises in her books. She wants people to find her books because they want to read dark Gothic romances. And then I have another author, Kaylee Cross. So again, her website is it's very easily navigatable. So we have the home, the about, the books, and then we have all of her different series. So again, if readers find one book, if they find the author Kaylee Cross, they can easily Google her and her website. Again, it's easily, they can navigate around easily on her website. So that kind of gives her more agency and authority in how she wants to present herself and her work. And I want to compare this to how Eve Silver's books are presented on her other, sorry, my PowerPoint is giving me a little bit trouble. Okay, there we go. So I wanted to present this how her work is presented on the traditional publishers. So as a hybrid author, Eve Silver was self-publishing, but she also was traditionally published. So this is her work, Eve Silver, Sins of the Flesh. There is no subgenre. If the readers, if they do find this book, they don't really know what to expect from it. Obviously, the cover design might hint that it is romance. The title might hint that it is a little bit horror-esque because of the font. But other than that, it's very difficult to cater to a specific audience on these websites. So the values is that it is catered just for a mainstream audience, so not necessarily, so Eve Silver obviously is not able to cater specifically to her niche audience once she is traditionally published. And I also wanted to point out the biographies of the authors. So we have this one, which is published on just HarperCollins. So it's just a 2-line, very generic biography. And then we have the biography on Eve Silver's website. So again, there's much more agency if we just look at how the author describes herself. So specifically, she is describing all her different accolades. So she's won awards and all of her different accomplishments. However, on the traditional publisher's website, she is just a regular author. So her accolades are not being positioned as something that she should be proud of. So they're kind of hidden, and only the readers find out about her words if they actually end up Googling her and going to her website, which she has agency over. And so what does this mean? So controlling the price point, controlling the cover design, and controlling the genre actually means economic capital. So going into this project, I used Bourdieu's concept of different capitals: cultural, which is the different awards, for instance, and just public recognition, and social, so gaining a community around you; symbolic, gaining different skills; and economic, which means financial success. And going into this, I thought that the different capitals will all be proportionately described by the authors. So they would want to obtain different numerous capitals, but it ended up that actually self-publishing offered them economic capital. So they were able to gain more money self-publishing online digitally than through traditional print publishing. So that was kind of shocking for me, because going into the history of publishing, authors have been struggling to make a living. However, self-publishers are able to make a career out of this and quit their day job. Thank you.